Hello, I'm Severo Martinez, the Literacy and Humanities Director for the New Mexico Public Education Department. Thank you so much for joining me for Storytime with Severo. Today, we are going to go on an adventure as we think about weather, as we think about wind, and as we think about maybe crazy noises you might hear while you're trying to fall asleep. This story was actually written by a local author from here in the state of New Mexico, and he was from southern New Mexico, where there are a lot of wind storms. And I think we're going to hear a little bit about that in this story. This story is titled Gust, 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 and it is written by Ray Jaramillo. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who loved to play the bongos. His name was Gustavo, but in his village, everyone called him Gust. The bongos were special to Gust because his tata taught him how to play them when he was a little boy. You can see Gust and tata as they are playing the bongos. When Gust was a baby and the wind began to whirl, Gust's tata would play the bongos to comfort him and help him fall asleep. Kind of like when you sing a baby to sleep, tata would play the bongos, and that would help Gust. In this village, they relied on wind to power their windmills, which supplied the electricity and pumped the water to the entire village. The wind was a necessity to Gust's village. That is just amazing that the windmill and the wind provides electricity to the whole village. One evening, a storm rolled in, and the wind began to howl. Gust was afraid of the wind and asked his tata if he would play the bongos. On this picture, you can see the Zia symbol on our New Mexico flag. So when we're reading, we have to look for little clues like that because, hey, now we know that there's a connection to our state of New Mexico in this book. As Gust and his tata were playing the bongos in the town square, the storm grew fierce. Oh no. Sounds like the storm is getting worse and worse. The wind made houses rattle, trees tumbled down, and debris swirled in the air. It seemed as if every time the wind blew, the villagers heard the bongos playing. Oh, now the wind is sounding like the bongos playing. The villagers were fed up and blamed the destruction from the wind on Gust and his tata playing the bongos. The villagers forbid them from ever playing the bongos again. Do you think that that's really what was causing the wind? You could tell the village people were really angry. Gust was sad, and that night he wished upon a star that the wind would disappear and never come back to this village again. From that day forward, the wind never blew in the village again. It sounds like his wish did come true. If we think back to the beginning, remember they were really using the wind for something very important. Every time you turn on that light, we use electricity. So now if those windmills are not going to be turned by the wind, that might lead to a problem. So think about that. What might the problem be now in this story? Let's see. Soon, the village began to suffer. You could see it looks a little bit different in that village, maybe a little bit drier. Without the wind that powered the windmills, the village would soon be without electricity and water. The village elders were concerned when they realized the wind had disappeared. You can see in this picture that that windmill is not a turnin'. The village elders called an emergency meeting. When Tata told Gust about the emergency meeting and the concerns of the village elders, Gust admitted to his Tata that he was the one that wished that the wind would disappear and never come back. Tata told the village elders about Gust's wish. Later that evening, the village elders asked Gust if he could play his bongos once more in hopes the wind would come back. They asked him to play them one more time. Gust was so excited at the chance to play the bongos again, he ran across the village, got his Tata and their bongos, and headed to the town square. They're definitely excited, because this was something that they really enjoyed doing. Almost instantly, as they started to play, the wind began to whirl. The windmill's blades began to move, and very soon the town had electricity and water again. The villagers were so excited, they lifted Gust and his Tata on their shoulders and told them never to stop playing their bongos again, and they all cheered, "Gust, Gust, Gust." Have you ever seen a windmill? This is what they look like if you have never seen them before. Modern-day windmills, or turbines, look like this. Maybe you've seen one where you've been traveling close to your home. And with that, we get to the end of Gust, Gust, Gust. So, with this story, maybe you learned that electricity and water, they can be pumped with the use of a windmill. So, if you're in a desert area and maybe you say, "I don't like the wind, I don't like the rain," but always remember that somebody does need the wind, somebody does need the rain, especially our farmers throughout our state of New Mexico, as we have many crops that grow. So if you don't like the sound of the wind, we don't want it to go away, maybe you can just play a musical instrument so you don't get so worried as you hear all of the different elements outside your window, just the way they did in this story. Today's challenge is for you to go out and learn something new. If you did, maybe before we started reading this story, you didn't know what a windmill was, and you learned what it looks like. Maybe do a little bit of research and see if there's windmills in your area, and figure out if maybe here in New Mexico, if maybe your home, the electricity that you see on a daily basis when you flip that light switch on, maybe that's the way it gets to your home. So check it out. Learn something new, and that is the power of literacy and the power of books. You can always learn something new, and they can always take you to a new place. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I thank you for joining me for Storytime with Severo.